Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Trouble has struck in Nerdville. Joe Bonamassa's Fender Custom Shop 51 Nocaster, a new limited edition that he's doing called the Bludgeon, was stolen in transit to a reviewer. No, it wasn't me. I wasn't the reviewer. It was actually Guitar.com. This story's been making headlines the past couple of days, but unfortunately, I've been moving, so I'm kind of late to the party on this one. But let's go ahead and recap just in case you're not familiar. Alright, so Joe Bonamassa, if you're not familiar with him, he is a blues man. He was a child prodigy who's now grown up and has amassed an amazing collection. It's so big, he actually has multiple locations and he calls them Nerdville. I think he has one in California as well as one in Nashville. But somewhere around 2015, he came across this Tele. He might have had this guitar before that, but he happened to feature it in a video back in 2015, nearly 6 years ago. And his favorite thing about this Telecaster is it was all original except for the neck pickup. Somebody had swapped it out with a Gibson PAF. If I remember correctly, I believe it's from 1962. So that is going to give it quite a unique sound. We'll play a little snippet right here. Yeah, that's not what you normally expect from the neck pickup of a Telecaster, but it had been so well worn in, everything else was original on the guitar, and he's a big collector and a purist. Like, he wouldn't actually want to take a vintage Telecaster and route it out. It had already been done, so he just gets to enjoy it. But what makes this Tele even more special is the fact that it's not necessarily a Telecaster. This is a Nocaster from 1951. If you're not familiar with that whole thing, you can check out this video. But at inception, the Telecaster was called the Broadcaster, but Gretsch said, hey, we've got a drum kit called the Broadcaster with a K. So Leo Fender was like, I have all these decals. What do? You just clip them off. So for a brief period in history, they just clipped those off and it would just be Fender because it was the only Fender guitar at that particular time, before the Stratocaster came out. So collectors refer to these guitars as Nocasters before being called the Telecaster. It's just that brief transitional period. So now that we know the story behind the guitar, he really loves this thing. So he had the Fender Custom Shop actually produce him a limited edition exclusive run to his Joe Bonamassa website. You can check it out right here, shopjoebonamassa.com. This is not a new thing. He has signature guitars on here that are exclusive pretty regularly, I would say. You can see right here, he sells a whole bunch of stuff on his website. But some other limited editions we're talking about, like his very popular Joe Bonamassa 3-pickup Epiphone. People love those things. I'm not sure if I'm getting one of those or not. I think it's too far past. I was supposed to get one, but maybe my dealer ran out. But when we're talking exclusives, normally on his website, here's the regular version, but he also had one that had his name inlaid on the fretboard. That is a Joe Bonamassa exclusive. So if you ever see one of these things in the wild, like on Reverb, you think, oh, was this Joe Bonamassa's actual guitar? No. And unless it states that in the description, it was likely just purchased from his website directly. These things were $100 extra. However, I think you get meet and greet passes, but you still have to pay for your ticket at the show. But you can meet Joe Bonamassa, only for $100 premium if you're purchasing one of his guitars. These things lasted on his website a little bit longer than the dealer pre-orders on the other ones. I was tempted to pick this version up for the review and demo just to teach people that, but I guess this episode works for that. So his latest one is right here. It's his Nocaster, and he nicknamed it the Bludgeon. Gives me Harry Potter vibes right there from Quidditch. But this is a really expensive guitar. No, it's not actually $500. It's actually $8,500. And I think this was first officially released back in April, if I'm remembering correctly. But this is just the deposit for the guitar. It's non-refundable, but if you purchase it, you are guaranteed to get one of these. It looks like they're expecting it to take 36 months, a year and a half to complete. But the earlier you order, the earlier you're going to get it because it looks like they're sending them out in order. And they're only producing 1 to 2 of these guitars per month. But that's because this is a master-built guitar. And the guy that he chose to do this run is Greg Fessler. And before we get back into the current events topic, this is a heavy relic job. So I can imagine why they can only get like 2 of these things out. I mean, look at that fretboard. That would take some time in order to accomplish and make it look halfway decent. They've got the body looking pretty good. Now, 6 years ago, it didn't look like it had quite as much wear on it, so maybe he's added some more wear and tear because he's a gigging musician himself. So I don't have any real recent photos to compare the aging jobs, but this is definitely a time-consuming piece. Even the back of the neck, they have to do a lot of aging and relicking there. And he even gets his own signature Fender custom shop case right there with the Joe Bonamassa. The guitar, it looks okay. Is it $8,500 good? I think only you can decide that. Master-built guitars, they truly are on a different level, so you're either going to understand them or not. But regardless of how you feel about the aging job, it's a very interesting setup. And in that video, he said he initially purchased this one because it reminded him of Keith Richards. He had a very similar layout on his Telecaster, and now he's making this limited edition run of only 100 of these. And it looks like he's specifically having them sort them out for guitars that weigh pretty much 7 pounds on the nose. I'd be interested to see how close they can get to that, because they'll have to add up all the hardware and everything that they do. Or maybe that's just the body, I'm not sure. But it looks like we get the standard bone nut, 1.65 inch nut width, vintage 7 1/4 inch radius with 21 frets, with the plain maple neck, and a one-piece ash body. The spec sheet's not very user-friendly, but I think that's the most important parts. But just 3 days ago, Joe Bonamassa posted this to his Instagram page, and I'm sure other locations as well. One of the earliest ones, serial number JB006, was stolen, potentially, in transit with FedEx. So this is a big post slamming FedEx here, where he was sending it off to guitar.com in order for them to review it, put it up on their website. It was just a promotional piece in order to get more people to order them. So essentially the story goes, he sends it out with them. And then eventually in Nashville, it gets scanned into the distribution center a few miles away from like where he sent it off, and then it disappeared. And I totally agree with him here. How does a guitar package just disappear? It's most likely due to theft. Now, sometimes you can get lucky. It just gets sat somewhere and they forget about it. I don't exactly know how FedEx works, or UPS for that matter. But serial number 6 is stolen, potentially at this point in time, because FedEx is saying they're no longer going to be looking into it because it's presumed completely lost. And Joe, just in case you happen to be watching this video, I want to give you a little bit of a seed of hope. Now, I haven't actually dealt with FedEx in this situation, but I have dealt with UPS in this situation twice, and both of them actually had a happy ending. So here you can see this video. 3 years ago, I lost this 57 reissue gold top. I think it was only going a couple of states away, and everything was going great until the delivery hub, where it just disappeared. The tracking number stopped updating. They did an investigation and they decided, yep, we can't find it. There is no getting it back. Now, hopefully Joe Bonamassa put some insurance on that so he's not out any money. And in my situation, I was lucky enough that I did. So they sent me out an insurance check. But then, a day or two later, the guitar shows back up at my door from UPS. So maybe it just got lost in their system and then they returned it to sender. But unfortunately, no, I didn't get to cash the check and get the guitar. They canceled that check as soon as they sent it back, but they never notified me of that. It just happened about a week or two later. But I believe this was like a 3-part series if you want to watch it, because I also had that happen to a vintage Heritage 80 Gibson Les Paul once before too. So Joe, stay hopeful that 006 will show back up. Having all the media outlets on this case definitely helps as well. So if you happen to see this guitar show up for sale, yeah, you probably don't want to buy it. You want to message Joe B about it. But now for the dark conspiracy side. Did this guitar actually get stolen in transit, or is he using this for media publicity to sell the Bludgeon? Because hey, let's face it, the Adam Jones Les Paul's got a lot of attention when that big batch of guitars that are still missing to this day went missing in transit. Do I think this is a big conspiracy? No, probably not. Stuff like this happens all the time, especially with FedEx and UPS getting hammered with packages lately, guitar or not. But it's also true that somebody could have just walked off with it. So we will have to follow this story to see if it shows up. At least it's not his vintage original. When I first saw this story, I thought his vintage one got stolen, because this is the first guitar in all of his years of traveling and touring that he says he's ever got anything taken from him. And it's a really gut-wrenching feeling too. It definitely stinks that a limited run of only 100, a very early piece, gets taken like that, but at least it wasn't also like serial number 1. So the situation could be worse, but I do hope Joe gets his guitar back. Maybe he particularly liked that one for the way it played or sounded. My best advice as far as avoiding situations like these, definitely insure your packages. Now, if you ship a whole bunch of stuff, you can do a cost evaluation on if it's worth it, but if you can't afford to lose the value of that guitar, definitely place some insurance on it. This is the sole reason why I insure my packages, not because I think anything's going to get damaged, but more so because you don't know when some rogue employee's gonna steal it or somebody's gonna hijack the UPS truck. So stay safe out there when shipping your guitars. So Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Keep a lookout for Joe's missing guitar, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.